We start though with that architect whose dishonesty has cost investors tens of thousands of pounds. Stuart Duffy from Liverpool faces being struck off the Architects Professional Register for signing certificates stating that apartments were complete. Really, in some cases, they were still building sites.
Yes, Stuart Duffy knew his professional paperwork meant unwitting buyers were duped into paying for properties that no one has ever been able to move into. Our correspondent Matt O'Donoghue has this exclusive investigation.
This is architect Stuart Duffy. And this is the hotel suite in Liverpool that he says is finished and ready to book. And this is a completed suite in the Richmond Apart Hotel.
The room itself is so handy because you can cook, you kind of have your own space, and it's a lot more relaxing than just your standard room.
Guests book their rooms through the hotel website, but the apartments themselves are owned by individual investors.
On paper, it's simple. A developer finds a site like this and then applies for permission to turn it into a hotel. He sells each of those rooms, like the ones we've just seen, to individual investors and uses their cash to fund the building project. And when the whole thing is finished, he then rents out their rooms and gives the buyers a share of the profits.
But for Bassam Kandaji, a property developer who lives in France, it's been far from simple.
Now we are in Richmond Hotel at the 4th floor, where my unit's supposed to be as an investment of my life, let's say, and it's about £200,000. And unfortunately, I got issued like these two documents says my unit is finished.
These certificates from Liverpool City Council and architect Stuart Robert Duffy guarantee Bassam Kandaji's apartment is safe and is fit to live in, to insure, to mortgage and to rent out.
They say my unit is completed, and those who are supposed to protect me, they let me down.
Bassam says he thought Mr Duffy's paperwork meant the rooms were ready to rent. Dated May 8th, 6 years ago, this should only have been signed after checking everything is finished.
Would you mind showing me in?
Yeah. Welcome, please. Just come in. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah, this is what you can see now.
There's no ceiling.
No ceiling, no floor, no carpets, no doors, like nothing. This is not functional unit, not to be used, not for any use.
The rest of the hotel is open for business, but 5 of the 51 apartments are like this.
This is what's supposed to be my door. Let me take you upstairs.
This is the kitchen, complete with curly crusts. There's no electricity or plumbing. There's barely a shell. The certificates guarantee this place is practically complete and safe to rent out. But Bassam is left wondering what went wrong.
How and why you issued such documents and releasing all my money without being sure that this is right or wrong?
They say this is finished.
Yeah, only on paper.
But this isn't the first time Mr Duffy's dodgy certificates have cost people money. This is the Sky building in Newcastle-under-Lyme, developed by a Liverpool company called Primesite and sold to another developer, unfinished last year. 244 student flats were bought here off plan, but when we filmed here in the summer, it was still wrapped in scaffolding a year after Mr Duffy had said the flats were ready to rent.
Stuart Duffy issued this certificate against a number of studios in that building. It effectively says that they are practically complete. It's also a guarantee that there's nothing wrong that could stop the people that receive this from moving their tenants in.
But inside there's no glass. Mould runs up the walls and the rain comes in. There's no kitchen, no ceiling, no lights or switches. But the paperwork says these apartments are finished. At a hearing to decide if Mr Duffy had acted unprofessionally, he was asked if he accepted what he did was dishonest. Correct, Mr Duffy replied. And unacceptable conduct, he was asked. Correct, he said again. And you knew it at the time, he was asked. Yes, Mr Duffy replied. The seagulls have squatted Bassam's bedrooms as theirs. He doubts he'll be renting this out soon. Mr. Duffy's told the hearing he believed he was acting in the best interests of the buyers. The developer of Bassam's apartment hotel rooms says he's agreed to compensate Mr. Kundaji for his losses.
So Matt, when are the people affected by this case going to get their apartments finished?
Well, as we heard there, Bassam and the other individuals who didn't get their apartments in the Richmond Hotel, they've come to an agreement with the developer. He's compensated them and he's promised that their units will eventually get finished. As far as the Sky building in Stoke in Newcastle-under-Lyme is concerned, that situation is far more complicated. We now know that around at least 100 individuals paid up to £60,000 when Mr. Duffy's bogus certification arrived, thinking that their units were finished, and in fact they are not. That building, as we now know, was sold on in October last year and is still not finished. We've seen a report that says it could take millions of pounds to get that building into a state where people can actually move in, and without that money those buyers are stuck in limbo. So we have a statement from Sky Building's director. He's Kerry Tomlinson of Prime Site. They're based in Liverpool. He says we're unable to provide any further information due to ongoing contractual and legal obligations. Liverpool City Council, who also issued a certificate against an unfinished unit that said it's finished, they've said they can't comment further because of ongoing legal issues there also.
All right, Matt, so what happens then to Mr. Duffy?
Well, from the tone of the Architects Registration Board's communication with us today, they're taking this extremely seriously. The tribunal has ruled that his actions were improper, dishonest and sufficiently serious to amount to unacceptable professional conduct. The ARB have the ultimate sanction of removing his right to practice and striking him off the register for life. That's the ultimate. That's like a consultant surgeon being told he's no longer allowed to operate anymore. Failing that, they could fine him or they could strike him off for a more definite period. We've also been in contact with Mr. Duffy's solicitor since May last year. Today they told us that they can't comment until that sanction is handed down, and we expect that to happen tomorrow.
OK, Matt, thank you very much indeed for that. Thank you.